Hey guys, this is just a quick video to show you how you're going to do the station so that you have no questions when you are doing this activity. So you have to have an equation, a pattern, and a graph letter. The equation you're going to grab from one of these equations. On the station you have a sheet like this. Inside the sheet protectors, the plastic ones, so you can write on top of them if you need to with the expo marker, and then you can erase it. And it's double-sided, so make sure you look at both sides of the page for the actual equations. Okay, so those are the equations that you're going to be writing down right here. It says equations. You're going to choose one for graph A, choose one for graph B, and so on. And then you're going to tell me the pattern, what's happening in the pattern, what's the equation. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to start with letter A. I've already drawn some points there for you and made an X and Y table. This is my suggestion to you. Every single time that you see the line crossing at a corner, that means that that's going to be a point. So for example, in letter B, you see that it starts right here. This is where the first point would be, second point, third point, and my phone is going crazy with notifications because I just turned it on. And it's vibrating every time and it's dinging. I don't know if that's being recorded or not. So there's another dot there, another one there, there. There's many dots. You don't need to do all of them. Actually, you don't even have to. You can just do 3 or 4, however many you need, so you can find your pattern. So I've already located each point in this first 4 points. The first one here is at 0 on the x coordinate because you don't have to walk anywhere to the right. You just have to go straight up. So 0 is the first step for the Foxy the Fox. And then it would rise up 2 in the elevator. So that would be 0, 2. The next one is 1, 3, which means you walk 1 to the right and then you go up 3. And then 2, 4 would be this one because you go from the origin, you go 2 to the right and then you go up 4. And then 3, 5 would be this one because you start at the origin and from the origin you would have to walk 3 units to the right and then you go up 5. Okay, so that's how you set up your X and Y table. And then from here you can come up with what is happening to each X to make it a Y. So in other words, this 0 right here, I could add 2 and that gives me 2, right? But with this pattern that I just did right there, the little rule, adding 2, is that going to be true for all of the points? Well, I got to try it out. I got to add 1 plus the same number over here, 2. So 1 plus 2, will that give me 3? And the answer is yes. So that means the pattern works for the first 2 numbers. Does it work for every number that you wrote? Let's see. 2 plus 2, yeah, that gives me 4. 3 plus 2, yep, that gives me 5. So that means that the pattern is this one right here. Whatever the x value is, so I'm going to write an x right here. Whatever the x value is, all I'm going to do is add 2, and that's going to be giving me these numbers over here, which are the y values. So that's going to be equal to my y. So this is the equation that we need. You don't really even need these equations. If you're able to find the pattern by yourself, you don't even have to look at this table, at this sheet. This sheet is just there so you can verify to see if your equation that you wrote is part of these. Because if it is, then you know you got it right. So the equation that we're looking for is x plus 2 is equal to y. Or you can say it backwards. Y is equal to x plus 2. Here we have y is equal to x plus 3. It's really close, but it's not exactly right. That's x plus 0.3 or 3/10, so that's not going to work. X plus 5, no. X plus 1/10. Let's flip it over. And let's look at that one. Oh, the first one is x plus 2. So guess what? That's going to be my answer, okay? So x plus 2 is going to be my equation. So x plus 2 is what I'm going to write right there. But remember, it was not just x plus 2. It was y equals x plus 2. Or the way we said it over here, x plus 2 equals y. Doesn't matter which side the y is, as long as it's by itself on the one side of the equal sign. So there's the equal sign and the y is by itself. Over here, there's the equal sign on the left and the y is over here by itself. So it doesn't matter where it is, as long as it's by itself. So then this equation will not be an equation without an equal sign. So I can put the y here, or I could have put it over here. It doesn't matter where you put it. As long as you have an equal sign for an equation, and you have an x and a y, and there's something happening. So in the equation, we already have plus 2, because that's what happened over here in our table. We were adding 2 each and every time. so we can get those y values. So we added 2 to each x value, right? So that's the pattern. The pattern is just adding 2. And that's it. You write it in words. Pretty simple, right? So that's how you're going to do. You're going to match the equations, the graphs that you have here to its equation. And the best thing that I can tell you to do is to create one of these guys right here, the x and y table. Okay, I'm going to do one with you. Let's do the last one. Let's do L, because that one has a decimal. That might be a little difficult for you. So if we do L, we're going to put some points on that line. First thing is I'm going to do that point, that point, that point, that point, that one, that one, and that one. Now look at what we're counting by. On the x-axis, this is not even a whole. This is 0.5 or 5/10, which means that this one right here is probably going to be 0.1. And then this one right here is going to be 0.2. And then this one right here, 0.3. And finally, that one right there would be 0.4. You see that? So we're counting by 1/10 each time. If you look at the y-axis, I think we're doing the same thing for this letter L. So this would be 0 and 1/10, 0 and 2/10, 0 and 3/10, 0 and 4/10. So to look at where the points are, the first number we have here is a 0 for the x, and it crosses over at 0.4. So on my x and y table that I'll create, x and y, okay, so my x value would be 0, because I don't have to walk anywhere to the right of the origin. I'm right there already, but I do have to go up 4/10. So my answer would be 0 and 4/10. Okay, the second dot right here is going to be from the origin 1/10 of a unit to the right, and then you go up 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10. So then this would be 0 and 1/10 for the x coordinate, because that's all you have to work over here, and then you have to go up to 5/10. So that would be 0 and 5/10. And you can keep doing that. The next one would be 0 and 2/10, and then you would go up to this one, which would be the next one after 0 and 5/10 is 0 and 6/10, right? And then you can keep going over and over. We'll do one more. 0 and 3/10 would be this one right here, and you go up this many, so that the next one is 0 and 7/10. So it would be 0 and 7/10. So what are we doing to these x's to turn them into y's? And you probably already tell by putting 0 as your first number is really easy how to change a 0 to any number. And it's going to be, if it's not 0, then you have to add something, right? If this was a 0 over here, that means you're multiplying. Like 0 times 3 would give you 0, right? 0 times 5 would give you 0. So when you have 0, 0, then that's going to give you a little trouble, or actually it's going to give you an indication that you're multiplying. The pattern is multiplication, because that's the only way you can get a 0 over here. If you multiply the 0 times any number, you'll get a 0 over here. But in this case, we know we're going to have to add 0 and 4/10 to give you 4/10, right? So if I do that over here, 1/10 plus 4/10, will that give me 5/10? And the answer would be yes. So my pattern looks to be is just adding 4/10. So 2/10 plus 4/10, that's equal to 6/10, and the answer is yes. And 3/10 plus 4/10, will that give me 7/10? And that's correct. So that means that my pattern that I'm doing every single time is going to be plus 4/10. Okay, so I just found the rule. That means that the x values, whatever they are, 0, 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, doesn't matter what they are, whatever the x value is, all I got to do is add 4/10 to it, and that's going to give me the y values. So my equation that I need to write down, like I said, I don't even need to look at these equations over here, but I can confirm to see if it's one of my answers. Here's 4/10, but that's multiplication, because when you have a number and a letter together, that means you're multiplying. So make sure that you don't think that one is the answer. This is the answer we're looking for. So we know it's there, so that means that's going to be my equation. And that was letter L, right? So I gave you the first one, I gave you the last one. So this would be y is equal to x plus 4/10. And the pattern is adding, and we'll do it in words, 4/10. Remember to have the THS at the end, because that's going to be important, because you're talking about a decimal number. The 4 is in the tens place value. Okay, so that's how you do this activity. You only have to go through L. I know that on this worksheet right here, you can flip it over and you have more graphs, but you don't have to practice those yet. Maybe we'll do it on the next stations. But right now, I want you to concentrate on just doing these 12 problems so you can have plenty of practice. All right, hopefully that cleared up any misunderstandings on how to find an equation or a pattern from a graph. Good luck with this station and finish it. If you're not finishing in class, take it home for homework and finish it at home. Thanks.